Wow.
Hey, everybody, I'm Kickstar.
I sound like Mickey Mouse now? Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, I hope I don't get sued for that. Now, what I do know leading off here is that Team Empire going into Clubhouse are an excellent team on this map. This is definitely one of their mainstays, and through this tournament, they've been really good here. They beat BDS on this map. They beat Liquid on this map. They only lost to Oxygen, and that appears to have been a slight bump in the road for Team Empire, if this last map was anything to indicate that by.
Yeah, I would be substantially worried if I was Team One. We've been treated to a wide variety of matches today, and the last couple maps that people have been watching are matches that are in the upper bracket. For those of you that are unaware, the loser of this match goes home.
Yeah.
So far, only one Latin America team has been knocked out. Furia, we said goodbye to earlier today. Team One, after defeating the defending and reigning world champions, could be knocked out themselves. And I don't want to say upset by Team Empire, but it certainly shouldn't have been as lopsided as it has been thus far. Now, lots of time to turn this one around. But I do not feel great for Team One's chances going into an exceptionally and almost absurdly good map for Team Empire. As that said, operator bans are in the books. The Thatcher ban will persist. Anything abnormal? No. But do you want to comment on what you see at the top of your screen?
No, I mean, those bans really standard for Clubhouse. Actually, about as standard as I would. I mean, this is standard as it gets, regardless of where you are. There's no target bans going on there. It's just I don't want to deal with roam hunting being so, efficient in the Jackal ban. Thatcher. Is anyone surprised by Thatcher anymore? I don't think so, especially not on this map. Same thing applies to Valkyrie and Wamai. They're just like typical bans. So, moving on from the bans, I want to see in this matchup brilliance from Team One on their attacks, because that's the biggest thing that I've noticed on Team One is that their attacks have a high ceiling for potential. And while they're not always successful on Villa, at least, they have had really great coordination. And just because Empire played better Siege in map number 1 doesn't mean that that's going to be true here now in map number 2. Team 1 could certainly give us some great stuff, and I mean, I anticipate that possibility.
I think we can anticipate as much as we want. That first map shows us that as smart as we might be, well, our predictions aren't going to be particularly accurate.
They haven't been through the whole tournament.
I was going to say, I kind of go back and forth as to how competitive this actual SI is. People are saying, well, because it's so unpredictable, it's so competitive. But I have to wonder is this optimal levels of competition, or are we just seeing that some teams are not as good as we thought? Because this is the first international competition in over 14 months. I think it's safe to say, by the way, and I hate to single out a single region, but I think it's safe to say, looking at the results of the APAC games, APAC as a region has taken a step backwards over the last 14 months. So it's hard to judge the rest of the regions, too. I think it's safe to say LATAM has taken a step forward, but what of an NA and EU? That's the question.
Well, NA is taking a step back, too. I mean, I would
be inclined to agree with that.
Yeah, I think we've already figured that one out. Like, that's got to be locked in now, especially after the Oxygen loss that we just witnessed. In my professional opinion, Parker, I've been doing this a long time. If you talk about how competitive this SI is, it is definitely competitive, but it's so messy. Oh, it's messy. Everything's messy all over. It's been weird to watch, and I think it's just because there hasn't been a lot of international competition for teams to measure each other against themselves. And it's like, it's weird. So hopefully this is the beginning of things getting back to normal, and future competitions are a little bit more refined. But what I will say is that even though it's messy, it has been very interesting, and the storylines we've gotten have been fantastic. So for that, I am exceedingly grateful. In this round, here and now, we've got a minute left, and Team 1 have only just forced Empire out of cash. And it wasn't even really Empire being forced. It was actually more them leaving of their own volition. Downstairs, Team 1 will get the leadoff pick onto Dan, and things are looking good for Team 1.
Well, they heard you talk about who was going to be playing on Shields, by the way. You said, I don't want Ali Mao on it. I want Lagonis on it, mostly because he didn't drop a single kill. Well, your wish has come true. Shepard sees the Montaigne toying his way through construction. He's got a chaperone. an escort, if you want to call it, as they are working together. They've fallen off of this position. In fact, he now has 2 escorts with him as he looks towards Jim. Maybe do some heavy lifting for the rest of this team. And believe you me, Lagonis is going to need some heavy lifting here now. As there's 20 seconds left, what are you doing, Levy? What are you trying to get open up? Will you even be able to get in at that exact moment?
There's no time.
No, you don't have time. There's only 10 seconds left, Team 1. You have to vault in. Alimau takes out the Frostman, and here they go. They're going to come to blows. Neskin starting it off. Joystick with 1. A second Nitro Cell there, and they don't even need to pull the trigger, but they will anyway. Diffuser surrendered as it's a total mess. And another round goes for Empire. It's a second map, but Empire is not going to allow Team 1 on the board just yet.
Yeah, so this is a repeat of the first round in Villa. You remember that one?
Yeah, Michael, we just watched it. I remember it.
Yeah. So it was real slow.
Yeah.
And I said then, in that round, are we watching a North American team because of how slow Team 1 attacked? And now I'm going to say again, oh, wow, I didn't know that Team 1 was a North American team. When did that happen? No, but they picked it up last time. Last map, even though their first round was slow, they started to pick up the pace. And I have to imagine Team 1 is going to pick up the pace for future rounds moving forward, because that was excruciatingly slow for Team 1. They had control of cash, but Empire did something that they don't always do. Sometimes they'll hold their ground. Sometimes they'll fall back off their roam. In that round, Empire decided to leave their cash defense with a minute left on the clock. They said, we're not being pressured. None of the cutoffs are in. We can just walk away from this and take the advantage. Empire did exactly that. And the really funny thing about that, Parker, is that you've got a Montaigne on the attack. The whole point of the Montaigne is that you can push out your defense. If somebody's roaming, like in cash, for example, you've got a Montaigne. You could just walk in. That's why he's there. And yet, still excruciatingly slow. Weird to watch.
I have to question the Monty choices. I understand what they did. They saw the Mira window inside of logistics. They don't want to take full control of that. They're wary of a possible Nitro Cell going out. And even if they do push from that angle and nothing ends up happening, it didn't look like they had intel if somebody was behind the window. And on top of that, on top of what was already on top of that, you're going to be spotted and called out right away, so the sights from Empire can be turned towards the door from construction into Master, of course. But instead you go for the window, and without realizing there's 20 seconds left, you have no jacuzzi control whatsoever. You have no logistics control. You have no main stairs control. All underneath the site, you have joystick playing down there, or rather the mute of, it might have been Shepard in that particular round, and then you've got joystick upstairs in the middle of the site just raining hellfire down on you. Team 1 looked absolutely lost for time on that round, and it ended up hurting them.
All right, so speaking of time, this round's been really good so far for Team 1 in terms of management. They've managed to open up the platform wall already. Now they're going to start working away at the lower garage wall, starting with 2. Now, it's going to take a little bit of time for Levy to get this, but again, much faster than we're used to seeing from Team 1. There is, of course, a thermite in play, but those electro claws making it really hard to use that thermite. Dan with a deep rotate on the west side of the building trying to roam. He wants to get to the run out. There are 3 players exposed to his run out right now, but it looks like Team 1 might be aware. He's almost made it, and here he is. The challenge, though, will not favor anyone at the initial, and it won't favor either at the follow-up either. No one catches him on the drone hole, and it looks like Dan will get away with that.
They've got this garage panel open, and they'll charge through, but the electricity stays there, and Joystick capitalize off of that. Alamo, the hot hand for Team 1 is down. Joystick almost gambles for a second, but that could have been an unideal situation, so he'll repeat the breach, and down goes Neskin. A refrag from Team 1 is not in the cards, but finally they get it. Empire cleans up. It's KDS and Lagonis now, last for Team 1. They keep trading out, and this will continue to favor Empire as they are doubled up in numbers, with 4 still upright for the Russian team. Down below, KDS knows he's got his work cut out for him. Lagonis and him are side by side, diffuser in hand for the thermite, but the moment that Lagonis goes to play this objective in the next 40 seconds, it will be KDS against the world. A 1v4, essentially. Haven't cleared out garage either, and the AUG in the hands of always will punish what little was left of KDS. And while the thermite of Lagonis will go frag hunting, they'll come up empty-handed. It's 2 in a row for Empire, who on this clubhouse defense are putting in the work that we expect from them.
Well, that's a really good hold there in garage. Honestly, I I expected that to go very differently, Parker. After Team One got the garage wall open so efficiently, they got the main platform wall open also very efficiently with the Maverick. By the way, great job to Levy using that Maverick really well. I honestly thought that would result in a much faster and more clean round execute into garage for Team One. But when confronted with the actual fights, Team One just couldn't stand up to Empire. Joystick in particular, playing by cement, did a great job of just locking up the bottom of garage. The run out from the Malusi on the other side of the map distracted Team One as well, kept them looking in multiple directions. They never looked like they were able to center their focus on where the enemy was actually coming from. And, well, I mean, yeah, bottom garage was just a bit of a meat grinder. We didn't really see a lot of contact elsewhere for Team One. They kind of just all faltered down there. So, yeah, that's your story. But I have to appreciate the Team One, and I did say it earlier, and it's happened now. I have to appreciate the Team One are speeding up their attacks, if nothing else. If they can manage to take some more of these fights, or maybe bunch up more in a fashion that allows them to refrag each other more readily, we might see some rounds go their way.
I mean, right now, that's with what we've seen out of these two maps so far, Michael, I think that's a pretty tall ask. I know it sounds super oversimplified. Just refrag, LOL. Right? Just refrag, forehead, I think is what you Twitch denizens would say. Correct me if I'm wrong, but oh my goodness, you're going to have to refrag. Joystick and Levy might be able to do so. There we go. That would have been troubling if he wasn't able to capitalize, but look who goes down. An early pick from Joystick. Yes, you get rid of Joystick, the biggest threat in the lobby for Team One at this present moment, but you lose one of your 3 hard breachers, and it's Ali Mao gone again.
Yeah, but as we've talked about before, on this site, you want ideally a Habana, which, by the way, is not banned. And Team One have brought every hard breacher but Habana. But I mean, like, you know, having that amount of hard breach, even though it's not Habana, is going to be good enough to get the drops open, assuming your ace doesn't die, but he did. So yeah, you'll still be able to get them all open now, but it'll be a little bit slower, and you leave yourself vulnerable to the impact tricking from Dan because there's no extra hard breach. You know, your Maverick's not going to be able to open up kitchen drop. The Thermite probably won't be able to. There's still 2 impacts in Dan's pocket. He'll stop that. So now without the Selmas, well, the kitchen drop probably stays intact.
Well, they'll continue to drone out now as they find themselves on that same footing. I don't know. For Team One here, given the abundance of hard destruction that's still on the board, I'm not necessarily sweating this pick for Team One. I'm more so concerned with the fact that it's Ali Mao, who hasn't really been able to find success in this matchup so far. Whether it's nerves or whether it's just Empire simply playing around him and containing him. They've done a good job of shutting him down. But, there goes KDS dropping from Moto Hatch. 1 minute to go. Looking towards Moto as best as they can. KDS is taking quite a beating right now as an impact goes out. Levy knows what he has to do, but no, there's a Nitro Cell. It will claim Levy. The Thermite has been downed as well. Team One find themselves in a very precarious position with KDS again in a limited spot. He'll pick up the Thermite. Shotgun from Shepard will be able to capitalize here, but he just misses for a second. Doesn't miss the follow-up time. Not enough damage being done. Both KDS and Lagonis are so low. Always takes out Lagonis, so a flank is in the cards, and KDS knows that. He's distracted one way, Shepard the other. Neskin will drop, and it's a suicide drop for him. 3 in a row for Empire, as this match right now is not even close.
Well, Parker, they couldn't get that kitchen drop open, so they decided not to even try. Whether or not that was their intent from the beginning is beside the point. Well, going for the Moto rotation there, they were going to probably try and open up the church wall, but that C4 right there, and the C4 that preceded it as well, similar placement I would assume, landed either outside of Moto or inside of Moto. I believe one of them landed inside because we saw the Ash take a lot of damage from a C4 earlier while she was close to the site door. And that kind of awareness of your C4 angles from Team Empire just goes to show their professionalism. And it prevented Team One from even getting out of the bottleneck of Moto. They couldn't control enough to maneuver out of that death sentence. And they didn't even have much pressure by bottom main stairs. That goes a long way. We had a tactical timeout here for Team One to try and assess their options. They are seemingly not many right now, Parker.
Yeah, what do you do if you're Team One at this point? I mean, you can try to get them back in. Is this a mental game? This is the worst showing that we've seen out of Team One thus far in the entirety of Six Invitational. People were flying very high on this roster. You know, if you listen to the casting, the remarkable casting of Guz and Xenox, which, by the way, the casting across this entire event has been extraordinary. But as somebody who doesn't necessarily have the time to listen to APAC South, and I say time because it's usually not when I'm awake, Guz and Xenox in particular were really big standouts for me. And I mean, everybody who worked remotely and everybody who's working on site deserve an immense amount of praise. And Gus and Xenox in particular, well, I think they knocked it out of the park. But if you went back, and I had time to go back and listen to snippets of their casting of Team One versus SSG, and it was billed as exactly you'd expect. For Team One, the expectations are this is a team that is growing. They are gaining strength. They are the new. SSG were the old. But the problem is that if you're going to be the new, the future, you're going to have some stumbles along the way. Not every team is, incidentally, going to be Empire, where you come out of nowhere and all of a sudden you win a major and a Pro League finals back-to-back. You're not going to be a team like Na'Vi, who does the same thing. A lot of teams are going to have some stumbles, and they will come back stronger, and they will come back hungrier. Now, we're obviously not writing Team One out of it just yet. Team Empire are up 3-0 on defense, on Clubhouse, on their map. This is pretty much where they should be. But if Team One's struggles are indicative of anything, it's that they still have growing pains. And this roster, win or lose in this particular matchup, should be happy with where they are. And if whatever is ailing them, whether it be mental or strategic or whatever, bogs them down, I would strongly argue that they can still be happy with where they are, and that if it's mental, they need to just get out of that slump, because you've got a lot to play for either in this event or future events.
Obviously, a big part of this is what Parker was just talking about, Team One on struggling. But I also want to say that an even larger part of this to me is just Empire being on tip-top shape. They are like all buttoned up. You know, no real major mistakes being made, no gaps left open. There are a couple things that they're doing that are questionable and risky, like the run out we saw, for example, from Joystick on Billiards. But overall, I will say that Team Empire are just not making a lot of crucial mistakes. And so it's not that, you know, Team One are struggling across the board. It's also that there's nothing for them to punish, really. Now, right now, Team One are trying to clear out the cash roam. Last time, it took them 2 minutes to do this, and that's when they had a Montaigne. This time, they don't have a Montaigne, and they're going to try to do the very same thing. We'll see how it pans out.
Also worth noting that Team One played a match about 10 hours ago. They had to play the very first matchup of the day against SSG, so it's entirely possible that there's some fatigue factored in here with Team One as well. They've already played a best-of-3 today, and it was a grueling match. It went to all 3 maps against SSG. Say what you will about the team and Troy coming back out of retirement to try and help them, but that is not an easy matchup for any team whatsoever. So Team One might just simply be tired or bogged down from having to play earlier on. That is another consideration, too. There's a lot of things, a lot of factors that go into this.
And, you know, that is, you know, what happens when you reschedule a match for another day. And then suddenly your team has to play, like Team One has to play 2 different matches. One at the beginning of the day, one at the end of the day. Imagine how stressful that must have been trying to go, you know, between those 2 matches, wait that out. It's a shame. But it's where we are now. Once again, a slow round for Team One. They have cleared out cash, but that's mostly because Empire left. Nobody was punished again on Team Empire, so now they're waiting on the site as we hit the last 50 seconds.
There you go, Team One waiting, and you've got 30 seconds for Levy to pull off what he was trying to do at the 20-second mark previously, but don't get ahead of yourself, as he's already got some sloppy mavericking done on that wall. The blowtorch will need to be a little bit more precise this time. Has he fallen off? That's the question. It looks like he rappelled on back up. Was it just simply to alleviate some pressure? That's the real question. Previously, when the execute went down and there was a Montaigne on the board for Team One, there was a Nitro cell from Empire ready to respond down below, and it's still there. Levy's just going to peek blind. Down he goes. Joystick play off this position. 2 kills for him. He knows there's a third lined up. Can't connect with it. Neskin is better. Ali Mal will need to work in with Neskin hand to hand, but the problem is that diffuser is outside. It might as well be on another map. Ali Mal's left, but he dies inside of logistics. They crunch the numbers, and well, it shows Empire up 4-0.
Almost a flawless round once again, Parker. That seems to keep happening. All right. Okay. Team One set up well there. It took them a little bit of time to clear out cache, and once again, they weren't the ones that actually cleared out. Empire just left. But they set up well. They had balcony control. They're starting their office push. Things might go a little bit better this time, maybe. But I don't know. Like, there's a couple odd things that didn't happen. Why is there nobody on the office drop? What difference that could have made when pushing into office if you have someone on the drop? Potential refrag, potential distraction for the enemy. And then, honestly, the balcony play, it was completely shut down by Joystick, just peeking. Now, I'm not going to go and tell you that Joystick just wildly peeking there is the right call for him, or that he's making the correct decision for that situation. I am going to tell you, though, that him just peeking like that wildly and getting away with it, not only getting away with it, but getting 2 kills for that, it does say a lot about this match. More than I ever could, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
There's not a lot to say about Team One right here. They're running into a pretty formidable defense by Empire. Their clear has been quite poor. Empire is establishing map control and is never really having it be contested.
Attackers must locate and defuse the bomb.
This is crazy for me to watch because one of the things that I have been most confident in on Team One is their ability to take quick control. They've struggled in these 4 rounds. Might find themselves in a tough spot here, but there's a Claymore put down. Joystick's going to hear this. He was looking for a vault out at the top of blue, but he knows that there will be an explosive end for him if he chooses to do that, so he falls off instead.
And that is really a good point, Parker. I wholeheartedly agree with you. The main strength of Team One, and honestly, a lot of Latin American teams, but Team One for sure, is their ability to confidently take those gunfights. You know, to just stick in on the, okay, I want to do an assertive play. I want to take control here. I'm going to do it quickly, and I'm going to do it confidently. And we haven't seen any of that from Team One so far.
I fear that the longer that this goes on, the less confidence we're going to see from Team One, and eventually it'll hit a breaking point.
You don't think we've hit that already?
I don't know if we've hit a full free fall at this point for Team One. They've already had to burn their timeout. No success off of it just yet. And look at this. Come on. Joystick will not even be punished for it.
You're supposed to cover that. You have to cover that when you're opening.
Somebody needs to be watching this. Neskin was the one who opened the door, and then nobody sat on the open doorway, which allowed Joystick to just walk out unpunished and take out the Maverick, whose blowtorch was heard by the position of Empire's defense in garage.
You're giving it away, Parker.
Come get your damn land, Michael. It's free real estate.
Free. Just come pick it up. Anyone could take it.
It's free real estate.
There's a second one for Team Empire. Down goes Alimal, the player we talked about not showing up yet. And it's just well, you talked about free fall, Parker. There it is. Lagonis, last on platform. And it's a flawless round. A bittersweet one. Team Empire fans have got to be happy about this one. But anyone who favors just straight competitive siege, or if you favor Team One, you're not getting either of those here today, it seems.
Oh my, oh my, oh my. Some numbers as well to run on us. While we look at a 5-0 for Team Empire, they're already up by a map. Michael, we will not have a single competitive matchup this entire event. We're just going to get blowouts. So apologies to the fans of either of these teams. I mean, if you're an Empire fan, you're probably elated at these results. And, well, I mean, in Russia, I think it's like 11 p.m. in Russia right now.
Oh,
so for the Russian fans, if they're listening to us, which they're probably not, I'm assuming there's a localized stream that they're listening to, but if they are listening to us, we're probably very happy about that one. But poor Team One, this is not the showing that we wanted to see from them. There's still time for them to turn it around. I mean, it exists. There's still time to turn it around when it's 6-0. But the likelihood will continue to go down. And at this point, I don't know what Team One is going to be able to accomplish, even if you just want to say it's up to the sides. Team Empire are starting on the favorable side. Even if you just want to say that. A 5-1 scoreline, assuming Team One salvage something and win this round, a 5-1 scoreline is so rare to see.
Parker,
I have no faith in Team One to be able to pull off a 5-1.
Yeah, I don't need.
I don't think anybody should with what we've seen so far.
They are literally Team One right now. Take a look at the scoreline. I don't know. The problem is Team One is such a good team. I know we're over here talking about how poorly they're doing right now, but they are such a talented squad. That's how they got here. They belong here. They absolutely do. And the frustration here is stemming not from their, terrible performance, but the fact that we know they could do better. That's the real shame. We've seen them do so much better. This isn't just Empire playing well, and admittedly they are playing very well. It's also Team One not showing up to the party. And as much as we can say, and I just did say that, Team One has a lot of potential. They're a great team. They could do better. It's now or never. This is the lower bracket. You lose this, 2 rounds, Parker, and Team One's gone.
It is really unfortunate at this current moment, and the stats are not any better at all through these 2 maps thus far. Oh, the opening picks are 11-3 in favor of Team Empire, and Joystick is credited with 7 of those 11 opening picks. The man has just been an absolute monster. He broke double digits. The only person in the lobby to break double digits thus far, and would you believe it, he almost alone has double the amount of kills of Team One combined. I mean, if you go back to that very first map, oh my God, how did he pull that off?
He shouldn't be getting away with that.
Absolutely revolting and disgusting, and another opening kill for Joystick. Team One have to be absolutely heartbroken after that one. KDS is 0-6, and he just gets fed to the machine.
And the duality of this match. Joystick is insane, but also Team One are struggling. It continues to persist. As we hit the last minute here, Team One are trying to get an Evil Eye. They'll need to get that, that's for sure. They also need to get a pick back, and I don't know if that one hit. It might have. It might have maybe been right in front of the Evil Eye. But C4 ready for always at the bottom of main stairs. He's just waiting for the opportunity to use it. Team One have to leverage something. They have to go for some sort of play that's going to get them a kill so they can get the initiative back.
They're going to play scared now as well. Levy's down. Some damage was done as it was a bit of a self-own with that grenade, taking damage off his HP. 3 for Empire. It was a flawless round previously, but there you go. Lagonis finding himself on the board. 2 quick kills. Neskin unable to do much on the flank, so Lagonis will need to ace clutch. 3 kills for him. This is possibly doable. He's in the site, 20 seconds to go. He doesn't have a lot of HP, and the 2 remaining players from Empire are going to anchor down the same position. With the fact that Lagonis is sitting pretty right now, it's entirely possible that...
I mean, before he could even say it. And that's just great utility play. There was an Evil Eye zapping him. There was a gas canister ready. And there it is. Lagonis put in a heck of an effort, though, Parker.
Nobody puts baby in corner. Except for Empire.
Except for Empire. They certainly put him in a corner there. Great job to Scyther and Dan for being the ones to corral him. Well, match point, Parker. And I didn't see anything from Team One that round. Just as I haven't really seen anything from them throughout this match. And I feel terrible for saying it, but it is the truth. There you go.
I mean, I don't think it does a service to the people who are watching to try and pitch this as a matchup of equals at the moment. Team Empire are by a country and region mile the better team right now. And it is all but certain that Furia, the only team from Latin America that has departed us thus far, will find their plane with an extra set of hands. In this case, Team One will be filling some of those seats as well. Unless we see probably the most remarkable turnaround in the history of Rainbow Six, with Team One stitching together 6 rounds now that they're on defense, pushing us to OT, winning OT, going to Oregon and winning. That's the path of redemption for Team One. I struggle to see how Team One can do this. They are going to need to be picture perfect, because even a small misstep, Michael, and that's it. That's the game.
Yeah. And, good news for all Brazilian fans. They still have, a lot of teams running. You got MIBR, Ninjas and Pajamas, the upper bracket finals. You got FaZe and Liquid still in. There's still a good array of Brazilian teams, even if Team One loses this. I say if because you know what? I've seen crazier comebacks before. So, yeah.
Have you? Because I don't think I have.
I mean, 2018 SI Finals.
Empire, Michael. Empire.
What?
You know how
I mean,
you remember map 1?
They got 2 rounds in map 1.
Empire have won 12 rounds in a row, Michael.
I'm just saying it's possible. Anything's possible.
Team 1, we're up 2-1.
I just don't want to be too pessimistic, Parker. Okay,
Team
I don't.
1, we're up 2-1. They lost that map 7-2, and now it is 6-0. Team Empire have won 12 rounds in a row.
I know.
It's been over an hour since Team 1 won a single round.
That's
and
true.
You're going to tell me I've seen crazier comebacks. No, you have not. No, you absolutely have not.
2018 SI Finals. We cast it together.
You're not going to sit here and be like, I have seen crazier comebacks. It's not going to happen.
I mean, I'm just trying to be nice, Parker. I don't know. Lead off pick here for Team Empire. They're going to get rid of the shield on their first attacking round as well. They've got control of construction. They know the flank is happening. They'll address it. Neskin will get 1, but not 2. Good assertiveness there from Neskin, but Empire were well aware that was happening, and they'll just shut him down.
Well, Empire with the lead now here as they'll drop a grenade in. Levy's able to play off of that one well. Good timing on his part. Another smoke will go in. Impacts 2, and from below, Levy absorbs a bit of damage. Some of that panel's been opened up. He swings. Ill-advised. Scyther is there. Alimal will now have to watch 2 separate openings. Team 1 are fighting for their lives at this point. Empire have looked like one of the strongest teams here at SI, and well, this matchup is a great example of that. 7-0, map 2, 2-0 Team Empire. They live to see another day. Pack your bags, Team 1. You've got a flight home.
Well, GG. So anyway, cool match. That was not really. No, it wasn't a cool match, Parker. It was a terrible match. Team 1 did not show up, and that's the really disappointing thing because they are a very talented squad. I have seen them do some crazy things. We saw moments of brilliance from them in the first 4 rounds of Villa, and then from then on, I think after the first 2-3 rounds maybe of Clubhouse, they went into that free fall we talked about. That's it. I pity Blue and Stokes to break that one down, if I'm being frank. They've got their work cut out for them. It might end up being a pretty quick expert segment, if I'm being brutally honest with you, Michael. But before we throw to a break, I do just want to spend a second to say that for all of the remote talent that's involved in SI, this was our last go at it. For the remainder of the Six Invitational Friday onwards, it will be done completely by the talent on site. You are in very good hands. There are 3 pairs and a wonderful host who are going to take you through the remainder of the action. I know I can speak for both you and I, Michael, and for the rest of the talent as well, that it has been an absolute blast and an honor to be part of SI 2021. Despite the state of affairs that's going on in the world, this has been somewhat of a return to normalcy, and of course, SI is always a magical event for everybody involved. So before we go to a break and before Blue and Stokes close the show, I just wanted to weigh in with that because you and I have quite the tale ourselves with the Six Invitational. And Michael, there is not a single person on the planet that I would rather sit in this chair next to, even if we are technically across the continent. So on behalf of Kix and myself, that's it for us. That's it for the show, except for Stokes and Blue, who are going to break that down. So don't go anywhere. We have a quick break, and then we'll be wrapping things up with our second day of playoffs.